Around a year ago, I made a video about how Netflix saved Daredevil. At the end of that video, I said this.
I love Daredevil, and if this new show is good, it'll make for a fine season 4, but if it's bad, then I'll have to make a second video on how Disney ruined Daredevil. But I don't want to do that.
So the fact you're seeing this video can only mean one thing: we're cooked. Yes, I'm late to the topic, but since season 2 is around the corner, why not talk about it now? So, Daredevil Born Again is a joke. The show had super shaky foundations from the start, but damn.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Originally, the show was going to be a complete reboot, with zero crossover to the Netflix show. Wilson Fisk made his grand appearance in the MCU with the Hawkeye show, where he rips a car door off its hinges and gets slammed into by a car and survives. If Fisk had these mutant level powers in the Netflix series, Matt would be dead. He's also said to be the surrogate uncle to Maya in the Echo series, which also doesn't make a lick of sense considering Fisk wasn't active in New York in 2008 and would have been in Asia, which was established in season 1 of the Netflix show. Also in Echo, Fisk shows Maya the hammer he used to kill his father with, and it's a different hammer from the original show. Are all of these genuine mistakes? I find that hard to believe. This all tells me that these characters we see in other projects were supposed to be variants of the characters we know. All of these decisions were made on purpose to tell us that this is supposed to be a different continuity. But then after filming the reboot show, the higher ups at Marvel decided that it sucked and they had a creative overhaul to try squeeze in a bridge to the Netflix show. So this show is basically two different shows in two different continuities stitched together. So right off the bat, considering Born Again is now canon, we already have some inconsistencies that don't make any sense, but we'll get into the real meat. I'm not going to be talking about the show episode by episode. This video is to mainly discuss character continuity and thematic consistency compared to the Netflix show, with some other things sprinkled in that really irked me. First, let's talk about the main man, Matt Murdock. The first 15 minutes of Born Again asks you to accept a vital regression of his character. He tries to kill Dex by throwing off a rooftop. He survives because of plot armor and his enhanced spine, even though he lands flat on his face. The point is, even with Dex not dying, the intent to kill him is still there. Yeah, Matt wanted to kill Fisk in season 1, hell, he killed Nobu, but Nobu's death was out of necessity. If Matt didn't kill him, he would have died. Self-defense is the line. As for Matt wanting to kill Fisk, he was in his early days conflicted about his beliefs. And by the end of season 1, he spares Fisk and his belief in preserving life and redemption was reaffirmed. In season 2, he spreads this faith to others like Frank. He disagrees, of course, and has his infamous "you're just one bad day away from being me" line.
You know the one thing that you just can't see? You know you're one bad day away from being me.
And Daredevil season 3 proves Frank's sentiment wrong. It puts Matt's Catholic beliefs into question and has a pretty specific reason as to why he would make an exception to the rule for Fisk. At this point in the show, Matt strongly believes he has to kill Fisk because when he tried going the legal route, it didn't work and Fisk got out, hurt more people, and still corrupted the system. Matt regains his faith in law and Catholicism by the end of season 3 and spares Fisk, even though he was responsible for the death of Father Lantom. Interestingly enough, Dex is the one who kills Father Lantom, and there's a point in the fight between them that Matt could take his anger out on him and kill him for good. But it's not what he wants. Even in the final fight between Dex, Fisk, and Matt, he could have easily let Dex finish the job on Fisk, but he still doesn't. Even out of anger, he still wasn't able to go through with it, and it speaks volumes about who he is and the fact that killing just isn't in his nature. And in order for Matt to consider uprooting his beliefs, he needs direct challenges to his perspective on life. The main pillars of his character that need to be heavily challenged are Matt as a lawyer, a Catholic, and a vigilante. With all that context, Born Again does nothing like this to lead him to trying to kill Dex. Bullseye was beaten at the ledge of a rooftop on his knees, not an immediate threat to anyone at that second, and he still threw him off the building. The only reason is that Dex killed Foggy. He's supposed to have developed by this point in the show, and yet he is character assassinated in the first 15 minutes. Awesome. Then he unmasks and gets his identity blown by Detective Cherry because of grief or something. Then he quits being Daredevil for a year. This is insane. I don't care if his best friend got killed.
Look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry?
Matt believes Daredevil is his purpose in life and his personal method of providing justice to those who are unable to get it through the law. Him being a retired civilian contradicts his entire calling monologue that he tells Foggy.
Okay, so you get these whatever you call them when you're a kid. How do you go from that to what you're doing now?
When I was a kid, before the accident, I'd lay awake at night, listening to the sirens. I like to put stories to them, try and figure out what they were for. Ambulance or cops, robbery or fire. I don't know, just a stupid game. But after I lost my sight, after my abilities developed, I realized how many sirens there actually were. How much this city suffered every single night. The sirens, the pain, the fear, all of the strangling Hell's Kitchen. For years, I buried my head and turned away. Then, one night, I heard it. A little girl crying in her bed in a building down the block. Her father liked to go to her room late at night when his wife was asleep. I called child services, like you're supposed to. But the mom, she wouldn't believe it. Said it wasn't true. And the dad, he was smart. He made sure what he did, how he did it, didn't leave a mark. Law couldn't do anything to help that little girl. but I could.
Dex kills Father Lantom in season 3 and he doesn't lose control then. I was gonna mention this a bit later, but since it's Matt who does it, there's a subplot in episode 2 going into episode 3 surrounding the White Tiger, who on a train platform defends a guy from getting beat up by corrupt cops. One of them gets hit by a train and Hector is charged for murder, with good old Matt coming to help him out. Hector says he was protecting someone from getting beat up and the corrupt cops deny anybody was there. I find it quite hard to believe there was no cameras of the event taking place, and if the footage was wiped from existence, then that is even worse and would be incredibly suspicious. And if there were no cameras to begin with, there's no real evidence of Hector killing anyone. They make this same point in season 1.
My client is not required to prove that he was justified in his actions. Instead, it's up to the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was not justified in defending his life.
The prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he wasn't justified in defending himself. Of course, Matt doesn't think of this because he's dumb, and in episode 3 doesn't say anything about it. Instead, he puts Hector on the stand and reveals his identity as the White Tiger to everyone.
So I yell, yes or no? Are you the vigilante known as the White Tiger? Objection!
I'm a really good lawyer.
What the fuck? Firstly, Matt should be disbarred since he literally violates attorney-client privilege. And what's worse is Matt knows how important anonymity is. What kind of character regression is this? In She-Hulk, he talks about the danger this could put the hero and the people around them in.
Public figures, it is assumed that there will be some loss of privacy.
The distinction here is we're not talking about celebrities. We're talking about superheroes who have enemies who will try to harm them, and the people close to them, the ones who didn't ask to be a part of this life.
And then White Tiger gets shot in the head by a Punisher logo cop because of what Matt did. I don't care what anyone says, Matt Murdock killed this man. He claims it was supposed to show the true nature of his character, you know, all the good he's done. But he says he was an army veteran. Why not get people from his time in the war as character witnesses? They do this for the Frank trial in season 2. I guess it's too much to ask for, you know? I'm sorry, I should just be grateful that Daredevil is back. Anyway, fuck this guy. Let's talk about Wilson Fisk. He can't be that much worse, right? By season 3's end, Kingpin was back behind bars because of Agent Ray Nadeem's dying declaration. It existed to get around jury tampering and restore due process. It's admissible because dying people have less incentive to lie. It also outs Fisk for his criminal activity, how he had a hold on the FBI, how he sent Dex to frame Daredevil. Everything was out in the public eye. Nadeem sacrifices himself and is the silver bullet to take down Fisk, and it would have made way more sense for Fisk to have never shown up again, because the implications of his return and him having grown to such a high position of power following this completely breaks this entire show. Like, firstly, where the fuck is Matt? What happened to the deal he made with Fisk? Fisk finds out Matt is Daredevil, which puts Foggy, Matt, and Karen in danger, and since Matt didn't go through with killing Fisk, they made a deal. He used the knowledge of Vanessa ordering the murder of Nadeem and threatened to lock her up, and the only way for Fisk to avoid that was for him to keep his identity a secret and go back to prison. They agreed, and now Fisk is out of prison, which means he's broken half the arrangement. Why isn't Matt coming after him or Vanessa? I guess it was just an empty threat, which is weird coming from him. The fact Fisk is out of prison proves to me that Matt should have just killed him. Clearly nothing can keep this guy at bay, and this whole show spends its entire runtime telling us that redemption isn't possible for him. The no-kill rule is a complete joke now because Fisk keeps gaming the system. Hell, he didn't even game the system this time, he was just let out for a laugh. Anyway, how the fuck did this bold bitch get out of prison and become mayor? Well, we don't get an explanation until the finale of the show. Vanessa explains to Dex, yes, they're cool with each other for some reason now, that Nadeem's sacrifice is what helped get Fisk out of prison. That's all we get. They don't tell us anything else. A complete undermining and disgrace to Nadeem's legacy. Obviously, there is no explanation that makes sense, so I don't even know why they fucking tried. So after Nadeem dropped his exposed video on Fisk, ruining public perception of him and telling everyone about his crimes, it all resulted in him getting freed because of an FBI scandal that he caused. They could have used anything else. Like, there were plenty of theories going around that it was the blip that helped get Fisk out of prison. It's incredibly flimsy, but it would have at least explained why the public like him all of a sudden. But with the bullshit excuse for an explanation we did get, I'm in actual shock. I didn't think it would be possible to fuck up a show this bad, but they did it. I'm sure it's fine, they'll just explain it in season 2, right? Again, at the end of season 3, everybody hates Fisk.
Well, the state of New York isn't gonna make the same mistake. Everyone knows this game now. Fisk won't manipulate the system again.
And Hawkeye shows Fisk actively coordinating criminal activity in New York on camera with a named associate. So a race ending in 53% for Fisk is wildly improbable. And now Fisk owns the NYPD again. Did these people not watch the original show? They hated him more than anyone, helping Foggy's anti-Fisk push, in treating Fisk as a cop killer. Born Again treats the NYPD as a coin toss. Half of them worship him, half of them hate him, which is strange considering the commissioner openly opposes Fisk. How does he not have an effect on what other cops think of him? So what does Fisk actually do as man? Well, his whole push is that he doesn't want vigilantes on the street and uses Muse to justify it, which is odd because he's a serial killer, and tells the corrupt cops that they don't have to use body cams, that he'll be overseeing the task force, that they answer to him directly now, makes vigilantism illegal, and in the finale he shuts down New York's entire power grid like it's a breaker in his garage that he could just flip on and off whenever he wants. They basically make Fisk the king of the world with his own personal kill squad of Punisher cops. Ignoring the logistics of how this wouldn't work, what the hell happened to the original Fisk? The guy who had to plan out and manipulate things in his favor with his wit. This guy just gets everything handed to him without question. Where the fuck are the other heroes operating in New York? How can they sit idly by while Fisk makes vigilantes illegal, shuts down New York's power, and puts martial law into effect? How can people watch the Netflix show and then watch this and think, yeah, this is a natural evolution of Fisk's character? What a good continuation. So if Fisk and Matt are ruined, what else is left? Foggy's dead, but even in his last moments alive, he's a major dumbass. Foggy gets a call from his client Benny, who is getting threats, so Foggy stashes him in his apartment and neglects to tell Matt. When Matt questions him about why the hell he'd keep that information to himself, he says, and I quote, "Maybe I didn't want to give you an excuse," implying Foggy is against Matt being Daredevil, even though the last 3 seasons have been about Foggy growing to accept Daredevil's work being necessary. Benny gives up Foggy's location, and instead of calling the police, going inside Josie's, or just running away, he stands outside trying to call Benny until he gets shot and dies. Nice. Karen survives, but a year after Foggy's death at the courthouse where Poindexter is getting convicted, it's revealed she moved to San Francisco and wants nothing to do with Matt. Matt asks if she wants to chat over coffee to reconnect, and she blows him off. The fuck? This is completely out of character. She says Matt didn't talk to her for weeks after Foggy's death, but now that he's ready to talk, she wants nothing to do with him? What happened to the Karen from season 3 where after Matt faked his death, she kept coming back to his apartment to collect his mail, not even knowing if he was alive or not? Yeah, Karen was gonna leave him, that was basically the whole conflict, but she changed and decided to not turn her back on Matt even when he pushed Karen and Foggy away.
Everyone in Matthew's life abandoned him, including me. When someone in need tries to push you away, you have to find the strength to hold on tighter.
Karen would not leave Matt and hold it against him for not reaching out for a year, especially at a time when he's trying to reconnect. Fucking clown show. I'm gonna leave the video here, but there's plenty of things I didn't end up covering. Like Muse, a whole subplot that goes nowhere with Ben Urich's niece, who ends up giving Fisk the win. Punisher, Poindexter, and how instead of getting out of prison and killing Vanessa and Fisk like he wanted to originally, Vanessa gets him out of prison and hires him to kill Foggy, and a plethora of other things. I just wanted to cover the main trio and Wilson Fisk since they were really the main leads of the original show. I'll probably watch Born Again season 2, but don't expect another video about it. Honestly, if this show had just cut all ties to the Netflix series and committed to the reboot, it would be an inoffensively bland show. But the fact it made ties just destroys everything about this show. And the previous one. Congrats Disney, another IP led to the slaughter. I've been Antradox, subscribe, gotta get this video out before season 2 drops, so see ya.
Hey,